Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this podcast. New setting, new house with the roommates out here. Not exactly my room. Room's not ready. Got a bunch of nice posters on the wall that I wish I could share, but just don't have a desk yet. But I'm joined by an old friend of the podcast. It's been a while since we had Alex Funderburke on the podcast. I'm excited. UCF and Army expert. I mean, now working for West Point, doing great things. Alex, thanks for coming on. It's been a while. Thank you.
It's been a hot minute. I can't believe you haven't invited me on. Like, what is this? But no, I'm excited to be back on, man. It's always a pleasure to get to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm not a Power Five guy. It's like, with
Neither
UCF
am
being
I.
Power Five, and it's just like, it just seems like UCF does, they kind of stray away from the topics I like to cover. Just like, I don't know, but definitely an oversight on my part. But hey, better late than never. So,
Exactly.
speaking of topics I enjoy and mentioning UCF, you are pretty much the perfect person to ask, I guess, to discuss just today's topic with, because I mean, under the radar with all the stuff that's happening, I guess, or yes, it's kind of a lull, but even during a lull in the college sports news cycle, this has like been under the radar. Like no one's really paying attention to it. I've seen only two articles, both are paywalled, about what we're going to talk about today. But I saw a tweet last week about the Cure Bowl looking, or UCF looking to. It's not the Cure Bowl that's initiating this move. UCF looking to bring the Cure Bowl on campus to the Bounce House from Exploria Stadium, the 25,500 seat stadium that Orlando City FC or Orlando City SC Soccer Club and or the Orlando Pride play in. They're looking to move the bowl from that downtown stadium to the Bounce House. And it's interesting. I mean, I am on top of anything that happens in the bowl sphere, something as little as this. So, I mean, I just love to get the gears turning and just talking about it. So, Alex, I want to know your initial thoughts. Of course, you being Florida resident for so long, you going to UCF, this is in your stomping grounds and everything. So, just I want to know your initial thoughts first before we like kick into everything.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. For a lot of reasons. If I'm remembering correctly, the head of the Cure Bowl is a UCF grad, and a pretty big donor to UCF. So I think this is going to happen. I think it'll be at UCF. I think that this was his long-term goal of getting it at the Bounce House. But it's going to be interesting because the Bounce House is a lot bigger than Exploria. Exploria is a nice, quaint stadium. I like it a lot. It's not a bad seat in the house because it's so small. You're like right up on the field. So there's going to be a lot of empty seats. I remember when the Cure Bowl first started, it was in Camping World, and that's a huge stadium. So it looked empty. I remember I covered Tulane, Western Kentucky, and Georgia State, Western Kentucky. Yeah, I think Western Kentucky was in it back to back years when it was still in Camping World, and those games were empty. Like it looked like it was just me and the other media there. But that's just because Camping World was so big. So the move to Exploria made sense. It's going to look more full, even though it was probably about the same attendance wise. But that I would say that's my biggest concern of it moving to the bounce house.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. And I mean, a lot of these bowl games, especially now with the Cure Bowl being owned by ESPN, ESPN does not really care about in-person attendance. You can see that last year with the UTSA Troy game, where that was a made-for-TV matchup and attendance struggled as a result. I think it was under 10,000 um for last year's game. So ESPN doesn't really care about attendance. But again, it's like, it's not. It gives fuel to the there's too many bowls crowd when they see an 80% empty can't or
The worst crowd on
yeah,
earth.
the most insufferable people. Yeah, the most insufferable people. Like it gives fuel to them. So I mean, maybe selfishly, that's why I'm kind of against it. And again, too, I mean, it's a unique venue. I mean, or it wasn't a unique venue in Exploria Stadium. Like, there's only two bowl games in soccer stadiums, or in soccer specific stadiums. Excuse me, in the FBS, and only a handful of like neutral site games here and there. I know Howard plays yearly at Audi Field. And then aside from that, Texas Southern plays their home games at an MLS park, and then that's really it. So
Yeah.
but then again, I mean, to the untrained eye, you can't really tell it's an MLS stadium, I guess. So, but other than that, it's a unique venue, it's new. So age is not the problem. This is not a Legion Field or Lad Peoples type of situation. So I guess the other thing I wanted to ask you, just like knowing the area so well, just doing a quick like Google Maps kind of scout of the area, both Camping World and Exploria. Of course only I'm sorry, not Camping World, of the Bounce House. I went to the Bounce House once, I mean, I didn't know how far. I mean, of course we hung out at the Hula Bowl in
Yep.
2022, but I didn't know how far Disney World slash Universal was from the Bounce House and from UCF's campus, which I would assume it would be kind of far, given it's a college campus, but not as far as it actually was. Like, do you think
Yeah.
that will have any impact on, I guess, like the bowl? I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how intertwined. I don't know if so. I guess let me preface this with a story. Like going to the SeaWorld, going to the Holiday Bowl with my family this year or in 2022. We walk in as like one of the first like 10,000 or so fans. They gave us free SeaWorld tickets, right? So I
That's
don't know if
cool.
that's that type of thing with like the Cure Bowl, where like the Cure Bowl works with Disney and Universal, get people like to go to the game and the amusement parks. But your thoughts on the bounce house being so far away from all the tourist attractions in Orlando and even downtown?
Yeah, it's something that's kind of misleading about Orlando because Universal and Disney aren't in Orlando, they're in Kissimmee. So everybody comes down to Orlando thinking, oh, we're in Orlando, so we're right next to Disney. But like that's not the case. It's like 45 minutes south. Um, which is fine. It's still like pretty close relative to like if you're coming from like Alabama or something. But um I don't think it'll be that big of an issue because it's maybe like 15 minutes further than downtown Orlando is to Disney. Like it's not that much like downtown Orlando is not that much further or that much closer than the bounce house is. They're both a nice little hike, a nice little drive on I-4. But I think that's something people fly into MCO and they think, oh, we're like at Disney, but that's you gotta drive a little bit further to Kissimmee.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure like how big I guess like square mileage and like area wise Orlando is, but I mean, I'd like to assume that you can't really fit Disney World and
No,
and Universal within the city's limits. So
correct. Yeah.
that's that's definitely good to confirm in here. So I guess going into something I guess kind of like more forward thinking in terms of like UCF. I guess do you see this like looking at the numbers that I did see like I guess on a sample tweet of a paywalled article, UCF would gain 50,000 for hosting the bowl game, which it's honestly chump change in this day and age like for a bowl game, but I mean someone replied that it is secure bowl. A lot of the proceeds do go to charity. I
Correct.
guess do you see this as kind of something that's gonna help UCF in the Big 12 like revenue arms race or something, or like because
Yeah,
that's the only thing
so
I can kind of think of.
this I think I can't confirm is a bigger picture play. There's this weird tax law in Orange County that I despise that all the taxes from hotels from like the amusement parks go to this fund for arts and like sports development that like the universities have access to or Dr. Phillips Hall, which is a nice music hall in downtown Orlando, have access to. That if they're developing something for tourism, they can get access to this money. And UCF asked for $176 million worth of this tax money to upgrade the athletics village. So I think them hosting a bowl game like the Cure Bowl and then also the Hula Bowl, if those get attendance, they're gonna be like, oh, see, like they're coming because it's at the bounce house. They're coming because they want to see UCF. They then get approved for this $176 million. They get to upgrade the facilities to look better in the Big 12. Um, as gross as it sounds, I can't fault UCF for taking advantage of a dumb law like this, but um, I think it's a bigger picture play for sure in hosting the Cure Bowl.
So I guess like a question with that, with like the money that I guess flowing in from that tax, do you see sort of, I guess, the Cure Bowl getting teams from the American, maybe I guess like I don't, or like do you see like maybe I guess reciprocating to like UCF getting better home and home games, with this upgrade in facilities or I guess whatever the money will go to.
Honestly, like I think they just want to upgrade facilities for recruiting. Like
Oh,
that's
okay.
the name of the game is if you have good facilities, you're gonna recruit better, you get better players, you're probably gonna win more games. And it's a cycle. It's college athletics. But it could help bring in like better opponents in non-conference if you know, we can, if they can upgrade the bounce house and make it hold a couple more thousand people. I know that is in the plans, was to renovate it and add seats. So stuff like that, yeah, like getting bigger, upgrading the stadium is going to help bring maybe like a SEC school to come, in non-conference play or something like that.
Okay. No, that's a good point. Because again, I mean, money's the name of the game. And I mean, I don't know how much like facilities like really matter in terms of attracting like home and home opponents. I mean, I just think if like you played a big stadium, you're gonna get, you know, a Power Five to come. Like look at USF versus Alabama this year. Like I still can't believe
Yep.
what's happening this year. Like
That's
I
just
really forgot about that.
Alabama promised their recruits that they'd play in a NFL stadium, and I think that's why that happened. They
That
probably
makes
just
sense
didn't
because
have it.
yeah.
They didn't have an NFL stadium on the schedule, and they're like, we gotta let's give USF a 2-for-1 since they play at Ray J.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense honestly. I mean, there's some like weird ones in the coming years like that, like USF Alabama, and then like Oklahoma's traveling to Temple, which I love the Oklahoma athletic department for like their willingness to do this like
They
for
go
their fans.
anywhere. Yeah,
So, especially Temple. Like I mean, I honestly think that game's going to be like a 70-30, 60-40 like Oklahoma split. Like it's going to be
yeah.
weird.
I
But
mean, they were gonna come. Oklahoma's gonna come to Mikey before COVID happened.
yeah,
Like,
I'm hoping they reschedule. I'm really hoping they do
I'm
reschedule
also
that,
hoping. I'm hoping.
you know.
I'm at
Because
work. Like, hey, can we get Oklahoma back on the schedule? Like, what are we doing?
yeah, no, because like they were the only ones who like I'm. There's nothing wrong with the ACC schools. Nothing wrong with like Boston College, Syracuse, Wake Forest. Like that's cool and all, but it's like you know it's Oklahoma. It's
It's
rare. You know, it
Oklahoma.
doesn't happen
Yeah,
much. Yeah, it doesn't happen
absolutely.
much. But yeah, I mean overall, I mean I just think it's interesting. Like back to like the Cure Bowl. I mean it's interesting. I mean I guess like the Cure Bowl, it's like it's stable, but it's also like unstable in like a in you know I mean in a way because like
It
it's
keeps
just
moving
hasn't really
through
happened.
Orlando. It's very strange.
Yeah,
Because what,
it
in
really is.
Exploria for 3 years now,
Yeah,
right?
since 2019. Yeah, since
Yeah.
2019, and then now, like, I mean, granted, I mean, it's still in the city of Orlando, like, it's still good, but I would honestly prefer to see another city, you know, in Florida if there is one that is not hosting a sizable city. Get a bowl game because Orlando's already got three. Like, it's
Or
kind of
so
overkill.
Tampa has three, two,
Two,
two.
they got two.
Miami has the Orange Bowl. Jacksonville has two, right? Or just the Gator Bowl?
They just
Or
got the
what
Gator
was the
Bowl.
Gator Bowl? Yeah.
That's just a Gator Bowl.
What other city could host one?
I mean,
Honestly,
Daytona. I've heard Daytona like Daytona for the
yeah,
Jaguars.
you could do Daytona, play it at the stadium Bethune uses. Um, honestly, I think Daytona's the only other one that could fit like a bowl game.
Like I mean, I'm thinking like the raceway though, like the racetrack,
That'd
because
be
like the
cool.
Jaguars, yeah,
That
the
would be cool.
Jaguars rumors.
That
That's
would be cool.
bananas, but I'm all here. I'm so
I
here
know
for it.
it. I saw that on Twitter. I was like, they got to make that work somehow. That would be so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's really all I had to say about
You went out. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. You're like fading in and out.
That might be a Wi-Fi problem. Not am I good now?
Oh, now I hear you. You're faint, but I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, that might be a Wi-Fi
Got you.
problem.
Got you. You're
But
back.
okay. Okay, cool. No, but it's like it's like I wonder if it'll be like a long-term home because like a lot of I feel like a lot of these bowls that are backed by like actual campuses are pretty stable. When you have like the campuses handling the ticket sales and not like a third party, because like for instance, like New Mexico handles the New Mexico Bowl sales despite like ESPN owning it. Same thing with like the Myrtle Beach Bowl, like from experience, and then trying to think what else. I mean, pretty much any one of those bowls. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I think overall it might make the ball more stable, or it might just be a zero-sum move, honestly.
Like, I genuinely think that this was the plan all along. I'm looking on the Cure Bowls website right now to see if I can find the guy's name. But the pretty sure the head of the bowl game is a UCF grad. So I think that this was his ultimate goal all along. So I think it will be like the lasting home. and I think he had to take. I think the Cure Bowl's been around for 9, 10 years now, something like that. I think he had to take those to prove like, hey, like this works. Like, let's get it to UCF. And I like it because UCF does have like a football hungry fan base that I think will show up. Maybe not in droves, like the bounce house is not going to be sold out, but I think you're going to have a decent attendance of just like random UCF people from the area who just want to come watch a college football game. Um, Especially if you get a bigger like American team or a really good Sun Belt team. Like last year, that should have been a more
Yeah.
attended game because that was
Hmm.
kind of like the G5 Super Bowl. That
Yeah.
was a really good matchup. There should have been more than 10,000 people at that game. And I think moving it to UCF, especially if I remember when the AAF was around and we had the Orlando Apollos, it was my freshman year of college, freshman or sophomore year of college, and they like offered students free tickets, and like students
Wow.
went. Like it was a fun time. I went every single home game while the AAF existed. Like it's a good time. So if the Cure Bowl offers some students free tickets, they're gonna come. Like it's a good way to get out of the dorm. It's the Cure Bowl is normally like the one of the first bowl games, so it's right
Yeah.
after finals. So students are still around if they haven't left yet. Like they'll go. They'll get a good attendance.
Yeah. So something I wanted to ask you. I mean, I'm gonna ask about the cow school up north. Sorry, I don't want to
West.
insult UCF West. Yeah, I don't want to
West.
insult USF fans. I'm sorry. I should be more respectful because I don't have any animosity towards USF. But
The
USF, I
directionally
mean,
challenged cows. Yeah.
sure, sure. I mean, I'll let you say that since you went to UCF. I have no beef. But it's like they got their on-campus stadium. Do you think if the Cure Bowl moves to UCF, that the Gasparilla Bowl, also owned by ESPN, kind of takes a similar path instead of like moving from Raymond James Stadium to USF's new on-campus stadium? I mean, the only obstacle I see for that, like before like I turn it to you, is like that one draws Power 5 teams like more
Yeah.
so than any other ESPN bowl because it's in the Buccaneers Stadium. I mean, last year's game, Wake Forest, Missouri, like to the
I went
casual
to that
college
game.
football fan. Okay, yeah, lucky. I mean, like yeah, honestly, like that's not like if I were in the Florida area as a casual fan, like I would go to that
Yeah.
game more than any other, bowl game, like more than any other like group of 5 game if I were a casual fan. So I mean, do you think that might stop like the Gasparilla Bowl from going to the USF's
Uh,
campus?
you're assuming that that stadium gets built. Um,
Are you
they
saying like in like at on time or like in general?
in general, like USF has been saying they're going to build this on-campus stadium since I moved to Florida in 8th grade, and they finally got approved for it, but they don't have the money for it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the student newspaper at USF like wrote an insane article where they were basically like, where is this money coming from? Like we don't, USF doesn't have it. And then the Tampa Bay Times interviewed some sports economists and were like, this is financially like dangerous for the university to go through with
Wow.
this. Like it's going to cost $300 million that they don't have. So if it gets built, I'll be surprised. Um, because they don't have like the problem with USF athletics is they don't draw fans to games. So they have no money and they don't win be, partially because they can't recruit because nobody goes to games. So like it's this like just giant cycle. If they can find a coach to help them win games, fans are going to come again. Like the 2007 attendance numbers that year, they were number 2 in the country before they
Wow.
lost out the rest of the season. Um, they had really good attendance. Like fans went, fans
Okay.
cared. But even 2017, when it was us and them battling it out, they didn't have that good attendance numbers. But I think if you can get a coach there who can win short term, maybe fans start coming and maybe you get some money flow. But I, if that stadium gets built, USF is going to have some other problems.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Because I thought everything was all,
Like it's
sunshine and
all approved. It's all approved and like ready to go, but their student newspapers concerned. Like I think the sports economist was from Holy Cross that they talked to. I'll send you the. I'll
wow.
find it. I'll send it to you.
Nice.
I know you're a Holy Cross guy.
Yeah.
Um, so and he was basically like, this is financially irresponsible to
Okay.
do. Um, so I hope for their sake it gets built because I'm tired of their fan base using that as an excuse as to why they're not good. Um, but if it gets built, they're gonna have some money problems that they got to worry about before they worry about hosting the Gasparilla Bowl.
Okay. Well, I mean, so like my question is like with the finances is like, did that same economist like look? I assume he did his due diligence and like look compare the situation with Snapdragon and San Diego.
Yeah,
Like
I
was
gotta
San Diego State in a similar spot or no?
know because like they obviously not like in huge numbers, but they have like a solid fan base. They have the other problem with USF is like their donors don't care.
Wow. Okay.
Like their donors, their old grads are like very concerned on, hey, we just got AAU status, which is great. Like,
Yeah.
but that's academic only stuff. Like that's where they're putting their money, which cool. Like maybe that's what universities should be.
Yes.
um, but
Absolutely.
yeah, which cool. But also they have all these like huge plans and like they got Kelly to be their AD from the ACC and they eventually want to make a play to go there, but it's like you have no fan base, you have no money. Like San Diego State has donors, like they have a solid donor core that cares about San Diego State athletics. USF doesn't have that yet. Could it happen? Maybe, but it hasn't happened. And a lot of that is from their former president. Um, she's the reason the Big East fell apart because
Oh,
she refused to let UCF in because we were little brother and it couldn't happen. And then the Big East fell apart. So, and now look at us. We're going to the Big 12 and they're stuck in basically Conference USA 2.0.
yeah. Yep.
So, who knows what happens if that Big East like stays together and UCF's added. And I think USF doesn't have the money problems they have now, but they're strapped for cash. So, we'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Wow. So I wasn't expecting that response, but that brings a lot to light. So I mean, okay, yeah, no, I'll take that for what it's worth, and definitely do my due diligence with that. But I mean, definitely interesting to, the first thing is, yeah, like you said, the stadium getting built, which I mean,
I
and
don't think it's going to happen. I
okay,
like they've been promising this stadium since, like I said, I was in eighth grade, and it still hasn't happened. So we'll see. They put out new renderings every 6 months, like, "Hey guys, look, we're gonna have a stadium," and then nothing happens. This time is a little bit different because it like went through the board of trustees and it got approved. But until I see like it being built, I'm not gonna buy it.
okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll take your word for it too. So, on that note, I don't have any more topics to talk about at this point. Is there anything that you want to plug, Alex? You definitely provided such like a wealth of information that like was unknown to me, so I'm grateful for that.
I appreciate that, man. No, I got nothing to plug. Keep listening to Omar. He's great.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Love Omar. Omar and I go way back. Keep listening to Omar's stuff. He knows a lot more than I do. So,
No, no, I don't think so. But
but yeah, it's been great.
yeah, I appreciate it for sure. I mean, yeah, Alex is doing great things. So like anytime you see any, I guess anything really being like, I guess posted or any like sports information stuff with it's women's soccer and is it the men's lacrosse team or
Yeah. So I at West Point, I have women's soccer, men's lacrosse, men's basketball, men's rugby, and then both track and field teams.
okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think out of all those athletic teams you mentioned, I went to a combined five of those events.
Well, we gotta get you up. We gotta
I know.
get you up for men's basketball season.
Oh yeah, yeah, men's basketball season. I mean, I know last year I was upset because like they were like I already like I did like my travel plans for, like for the season ahead and
Mhm.
like they had the trip to London. I'm just like, why couldn't they do that when I
So
was living in New York? Like,
the rumor broke today, so I guess I can talk about it. It's not official yet, but we're gonna be playing at Indiana November 12th.
I mean that's cool, but it's like for me, it's like my thing is like it's cool playing like power programs. I guess like maybe I'm contradicting myself, but it's like I would much prefer if like they came to Mikey, but it's like the LSU game. Like I thought about going to the LSU game this year, but I'm like, for what reason? Like to see Army like I mean. Like, I mean, we might play him close, but it's like for me as a fan, I more value kind of like the NFL type stadium games where
Yeah,
it's like,
that makes
I'm
sense.
I'm going to Army Air Force this year, you know, because
That's
that's
cool.
like
I'm
that's
gonna try
like
to. I got to see how the women's soccer schedule works out, but I'm gonna try to sneak off to Denver for that one.
yeah, I mean you should. And like for Western Army fans, that's kind of our Army Navy game now, I
Yeah,
guess, you know, where it's like because I
we got to
mean,
get you
yeah,
out to Foxborough for Army Navy.
I know. So I mean, it's tough because I already invested so much in doing Notre Dame Navy in Ireland this year that I'm just like
Okay.
I can't do both that and Army Navy. Like that would just be
Yeah,
so irresponsible. But like next year, like I'm trying to go to like the rest of the stadium, especially like MetLife too, because like MetLife is kind of I get, you
that
know,
was a
Giant
really cool
Stadium
game.
2.0.
I went to it
Yeah.
when it was here, when it was at MetLife in what 2021,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 2021. It was they did it up. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Like because I think like that's like kind of it's not integral to the rivalry's history, but like there's been good moments in like the Meadowlands like complex. You
Yeah,
know, there's been some
yeah.
exciting moments. So it's like, you know, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, like I mean, Alex is doing all the good work for like all the you know all the I guess the great you know the programs that are overshadowed by football and that I didn't do a good job of attending when I was a cadet. You know, unless
We're
there was
gonna
an
get
incentive for
Omar to
me
a lacrosse game. We're gonna get Omar to
unless
a
there was an
lacrosse
incentive
game.
for me. I don't think I went to a lacrosse game, even though yeah, even though one of my friends was on team, like because there's just no incentive for me. It was either like I went to a track meet because they're giving away free Five Guys burgers. I went to I went to a couple men's basketball games because you know men's and women's games because you know it's basketball, it's cool, and like they're playing like
Yeah.
marquee opponents. At least eight, they were playing eight. They hosted LaSalle. I guess the
Yep.
only way that they could get LaSalle to come to West Point was like during the pandemic when like there's no ticket revenue to lose anyway. So I mean,
Yep.
I guess I'm glad that happened. Then I think I went to a women's soccer game because there was an incentive for that. So I mean, yeah, I guess I'm just a horrible fan of non-revenue
Well,
sports.
we're
Like, I
gonna
guess I'm
get
just a
you to
horrible
all of
guy.
we're gonna get you to all of my sports at least once. That's my goal as while I'm at Army is get Omar to every game I possibly can.
If it's in Texas, then hopefully I will make a very concerted effort to
Okay.
go. If it's in Texas, hopefully just be down here in El Paso. But yeah, I know if I live in the East Coast, I definitely would will try to be better. You know, if I ever go back to the East Coast, so we'll try to be better with the
There we
non-revenue
go.
sports.
There we go.
But yeah, but I mean, yeah, another tangent, obviously. But I mean, it's been great, Alex. Thank you again for joining us, and until next time, everyone. Peace, love, and soul.
Peace.